Well, here's something strange. Just out of nowhere, multiple news agencies like Vice and Reuters started to release articles about how scientists found that eating other people is bad for your health. A pair of scientists at the University of Wrocław and the University of Prague had to use a mathematical model to show that the long term practice of eating other people can lead to population collapse by causing illnesses in those who eat other people. They weighed the pros and the cons when it comes to looking at the human body as a potential source of food, analyzing both energy gains and the hidden cost. I mean, why all of a sudden are they analyzing something that's well known? It has been well known and documented for decades now as to why we shouldn't eat other people. Outside of it being nasty and taboo, there are certain diseases one can get from eating another human, mainly prion diseases. Right? So, why all of a sudden are they looking deeper into the pros and cons of human meat? Who is this research for? But anyway, they said from a calorie perspective, a person can turn out to be an average meal, okay? This article from Reuters goes on to say that their model shows the risk of disease rises exponentially when humans consume other cannibals, as even cooking does not eliminate prions or misfolded proteins that can cause incurable neurological diseases. But here's the thing, the article, and you're going to find other news agencies talking about one other prion diseases you'll get from eating other people, is one called Kuru, which they say is popular in locations like Papua New Guinea. But in the United States, where the food supply is very, very shady, especially fast food, practically nobody has Kuru. But here's the thing, there is a common prion disease in the United States which they say is the cousin of Kuru, called CJD or Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. This can be inherited through your family, but the most common form is the sporadic variety where it can just happen to you randomly. And as coincidence may have it, the number of people acquiring CJD in the United States has spiked. Between 2007 and 2020, there has roughly been a 50 to 67% increase throughout these years when it comes to the number of people getting this prion disease. Nobody knows why prion diseases like CJD are on the rise in the United States. But it can't be Soylent Green is people in the American food supply causing this increase because nobody's getting Kuru. But is it possible that Kuru has a different name in other locations like CJD? So we're seeing a sharp rise of prion diseases including CJD in the United States as more and more people are noticing throughout the years that the American food supply is not what it used to be. But anyway, what a weird thing to suddenly research and put out there. There's also been a couple of odd news stories of people eating other people as well. Like back in June, a hospital worker in Hungary allegedly collected human remains from cemeteries and his workplace and admitted to preparing and eating some of the body parts, according to police. After receiving several tips, police discovered he was storing human body parts in his home and his workplace. This is one of the reasons that when my company that I work for does potlucks, where people bring in food from their home for everybody to share, I do not participate. Because you don't know what everybody has going on at their home, but during the search of this man's apartment, authorities allegedly discovered a prepared human face, facial skin, bones stored in a suitcase, a complete lower leg, a brain, a hand, several skulls, and a heart preserved in a jar. And again, police believe that he obtained some of these remains through his work at a hospital and by exhuming bodies from abandoned cemeteries. But this gets even more disturbing. Back on July 4th over in Australia, the police, they're very familiar with this woman and her family because of history of domestic situations. Matter of fact, for months now, friends, family, and neighbors were alerting the police about what was going on inside the home when it comes to her child. Well, that day she goes to the police by her own accord and she tells the police that not only did she end her child, but she also ate him as well. The police go to the home to do a wellness check. They find the child's body there, but they took one look at his arm and it corroborated with what the mother had said when she said she ate him. So they did a swab of her mouth and her teeth to get a 100% confirmation, and those test results have not come back yet, but absolutely horrifying. Horrifying isn't even the word. And if people are not eating other people, they are injecting them into themselves. There's a filler that's been used by a select number of plastic surgeons since 2025 called zombie filler or Alloclay. There's a company called Tiger Aesthetics, which they say is regulated by the FDA. And what they do is they take fat from cadavers or deceased people and they give it to a select number of plastic surgeons. And these surgeons will inject their patients with these deceased people's fat, whether it's in their mouth, their butts, their breast, to give them a desired appearance. Like this article says, people are using GLP-1 to shrink themselves, and they're using the dead to even everything out. That's creepy. And even though they say it's FDA approved, this company is not approved to distribute it everywhere. So what they're doing, they're smuggling it into certain locations like into New York. So again, doctors can use it on their patients. One doctor had to have the product seized. What are we talking about here? Putting the fat cells from deceased people into your body for vanity reasons, and doctors are doing it. And getting it from a company not licensed to sell this stuff to put into people. This video is from Dr. Hannah DC.
Have you heard of Alloclay? It's the cosmetic trend going viral as zombie filler, and it's caused a regulatory showdown in New York. Here's why. Alloclay isn't a synthetic filler made in a lab with chemistry. It's processed fat tissue taken from human cadavers, people who donated their bodies after death. And regulators are scrambling to figure out who should even be allowed to inject it. Here's what the marketing won't tell you. There is no long-term human safety data on cadaver-derived fat fillers like this. This is not an accident. It's a classification issue. Because this product is regulated as human tissue, not a drug or a device, it can reach the market without going through the same clinical trial process that synthetic fillers and implants require. That means doctors are injecting this into patients right now, and nobody, not the company, not the FDA, and not your injector, actually know how this tissue behaves in a human body 5 or 10 or 15 years later.
I mean, she's right, and I guess the argument can be made that it's sterilized and it goes through multiple channels before it actually goes into another human, but they have absolutely no idea what the long-term effects of this will be 5, 10, 15 years from now. Again, if anything will jumpstart a zombie apocalypse, this definitely is a good candidate. Human bodies are worth a lot of money for multiple different reasons. When you go to a funeral home to bury your loved one, a lot of these funeral homes, not all of them, there are some very good ones out there, but we hear time and time again in the news that these funeral homes are giving money to buried people's loved ones when in actuality, all they're doing is burying an empty casket. They're taking these bodies out and selling these bodies on the black market. But moving on and talking about Resident Evil, what in the world was found in this woman's home?
Okay, so I just went to turn on the bath and look what came out of the faucet. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. It is like a black sludge with rust. It smells absolutely horrid, and yeah, definitely interrupted my plans to have a bubble bath tonight. So how's your Thursday going? Hopefully better than mine. Please, if anybody can tell me what this is or if this is normal, please tell me, because this is disgusting. Thanks. Bye.
Looks like some human fluids is coming through a pipe, and even more disturbing, is no longer even pouring out, it's just stuck or frozen there.
Did y'all see that video where that lady went to pick up something off of Facebook Marketplace? She said she actually went to the person's house to pick it up. And the person lived on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, where she didn't have cell phone service or anything. So she pulls up and she's trying to get her internet to work. And she said the whole time there's a little girl staring at her from far away. Now y'all, she took a video to send to her husband. Look at this. This is the little girl. She said she waved at her and stuff. The little girl didn't move. She just sat there and stared at her. Now, I'm not sure what this little girl is doing, but it looks terrifying. It almost looks like a doll, which is even creepier. Why do you have such a realistic child doll on your property, period? Now, she claims that it did move some, like it moved its arms and stuff, but the whole time it just stared at her. And throughout the entire video, it doesn't move at all. And it's all contorted. I don't know, y'all. What do you think? A lot of people are actually saying that this could be like a skinwalker trying to act like a human.
That video came from Whoa That's Strange, and given the fact of how realistic that looks, it's very possible that could be one of those reborn dolls. But whether it moved or not, I mean, given the fact of how it looks, especially in that position, I wouldn't doubt if it did.
You ready to see the most dystopian thing that I've seen in a long time? Well, check out my loaner car from Audi, okay? So, beautiful. Beautiful Q7. See that? I have this car for a couple days because my Audi has a coolant issue and is under warranty. So I got this loaner while my car's in the shop, and I just wanted to show you. It's sent me with a personal assistant. I don't know if this is a new thing at all dealerships or if this is just an Audi thing, but in the car, let me just show you. Ready? We're gonna meet my new best friend. Meet the Eye of Sauron. Yes, that is a camera. That camera records everything I do, everything I say, every movement I make. If I want to pick my nose, no, you can't. Somebody's watching. If I wanted to eat something, no, somebody's watching. Oh, and then listening. How is this legal? How is it legal that a dash cam can voice record everything that you're talking about, private information? I work in medicine and I speak to patients on the phone about private health information every day. And now I can't do that in this car because Audi is recording it and listening and videotaping. And on top of that, it's also your driving best friend. So if you're speeding, it knows and it tells you, speeding. If you are not wearing your seatbelt properly, it tells you, seatbelt. It's watching. It's capturing, it's recording. I don't know how this is legal, but I wish I had known about this feature before I agreed to take this loaner car, because I would have 100% paid $700 for a rental car instead of this. I can't tell you how uncomfortable I feel on this car. Can't even enjoy the beautiful brand new Q7 that I get to cruise around in because I have the Eye of Sauron watching. It is so disturbing. So welcome to the future. For anyone that thinks that this is a good idea, just take a car with somebody watching you. Who knows who's on the other end? This is so creepy. I hate it. I don't like it. Fully reject. No. Do better, Audi. No. This is horrible.
But here's the thing, as creepy as that is, a camera watching you the whole time, that's the standard 2027 and onward for all new cars. The camera will be on you at all times to make sure you're not drunk or to make sure you are okay to drive. Welcome to the future where you're constantly surveilled.
One is the parasite thing. They're talking about parasites are going to get you if you eat, I think, blackberries, blueberries, and spinach. Now, what they don't tell people is it's not organic blueberries, blackberries, and spinach. There's these interesting loopholes with non-organic versus organic. And in the non-organic loophole, they can actually use a thing called sewage to tap. So they can actually take all the feces and remnants of all the people, put it back into the tap water, and then spray it all over the crops. So when people are like, man, I don't know why I'm not feeling well when I eat non-organic food, that is because there's a thing called sewage to tap. Now, sewage to tap has been passed in like 25 states. Texas, California, New York, Florida, Arizona. I mean, we can go on and on. They recycle that back into the tap water, and then they let the farmers use that all over. So if you buy organic, you don't have to worry about that. And they're like, the parasites are going to get you, and you need to cook your... They literally said this. You need to cook your blackberries and cook your raspberries. Like, the news and the Muppets are complete Muppets. But the thing is if you go organic, you don't got to worry about any of that. There's also an interesting thing that all the AI data centers, where all the data centers are, all the water that's running off with that sewage to tap, that's also putting onto the crops and onto the food. So yes, that is the combination. So when they're trying to tell you that the parasites is going to get you and all this other nonsense, they're not telling you what's actually been going on with farming for a long time here in America. So, all fear, always. And that's why we always talk about growing your own food.
That video is from Cultivate, Elevate, and yeah, this sewage to tap is called Human Biosolids, where it's sprayed on anything that's non-organic, supposedly anyway. And this goes back to what I said in the beginning, where just how shady the American food supply happens to be. And when you keep doing things like this and more people continue to consume it, eventually there'll be all types of strange outbreaks.
I honestly believe this, that the reason why Jesus hadn't come is because people are not giving the way God told them to give. You see what I'm saying? Wow. I mean, when you understand it, you can speed up the time. I was on television. He said, I heard you was a millionaire. I said, that's not right. That's not true. He said, yes, it is. I said, no, it's not. Multi. Now, add that to it, and you'll be all right. Oh, he couldn't handle that. He like to have had a fit. And I said, you mess with me, I'll buy this station and I'll fire you. Yeah. Oh, he didn't like that, did he? You know, that was a little fleshy, but it felt good. Yeah. Just did. You know, I'm not saying it's wrong. So I realized that I will not move people emotionally to give.
Right. No.
I'm going to have people move according to the Word of God. What is God saying to you? And I really believe this. If people would call this number and put this victory all over the world on every available voice, every available outlet, God, the Father, he would say, Jesus, go get him.
Yeah.
Because you see, he wants to see us as much as we want to see him. You see what I'm saying? And so what has hindered all these things is, it's because people are not doing in the financial realm, because we live in an economic world, what God's called them to do. You know, he's called us to do that. So I don't have a problem with giving. I don't have a problem with receiving. It didn't make any difference, because I just made up my mind. I want Jesus to come. Now, they said, do you own a jet? Yes. You can have it the day after the rapture. It's yours. Because Jesse.
That was multi-millionaire pastor, quote-unquote pastor, Jesse Duplantis saying, all you have to do is give more money, donate more money, and Jesus will return. He's not returning because you're not giving enough. And yet, as crazy as what he's saying, more and more people are still giving him money. In what Bible verse does it say that Jesus will return as long as you donate? The audacity to say something like that on TV, and yet he knows no matter what he says, people are still going to give him money hand over fist because it's like they're mesmerized, some type of strangeness. That right there should have pretty much ended his career, but it didn't.
Out of all of the Mandela effects, the Fruit Loops one is really, really bothering me. I remember, I don't know, it was a few years back, reading comments and arguing with people because we all thought that Fruit Loops was spelled F-R-O-O-T-L-O-O-P, and that the F-R-O-O, the O's were the cereal. And everybody in the comments was like, no, you're only remembering that because the L-O-O-P, the loops, the O's in the loops was the cereal. So, like, it made us feel like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, that's probably where this memory's coming from. Because if you looked it up, it was spelled fruit, F-R-U-I-T. So we all just accepted that all of our memories were just gaslighting us because of the word loops being spelled with the cereal for the O's. But now everybody's arguing because it is F-R-O-O-T with the cereal as the O's. And everyone's like, no, it's always been that way. No, it hasn't. Because we argued about this. We argued that we always remembered it being with the F-R-O-O-T. We argued.
That video is from Takeo 1992, and yeah, this one really creeps me out because I remember not that long ago, maybe a year ago, I looked into the Mandela effects, and I do remember seeing Fruit Loops spelled F-R-U-I-T-L-O-O-P-S, and people were like, wasn't it always F-R-O-O-T-S? And they were getting like a lot of back and forth. And now, yet for whatever reason, it's back to F-R-O-O-T-S. Don't take it from me. You can go on the internet and you can see people were really back and forth on this one.
We are being lied to about these AI data centers.
We're being told that in order to run these giant data centers will require 1 to 5 million gallons per day. That's the equivalent to water consumption of over 50,000 people being used to run these AI data centers on a daily basis. And that's not true. You want to know the truth about these AI data centers? This man right here, his name is Doug Seavey. He's an expert on data centers. He's built and ran AI data centers in Iowa for many years. Listen to what he says.
And everything that Google is telling you is BS. I have a data center right now that's running in Hiawatha, and I have been there 14 years and have never used 1 gallon of water. You guys have to say no water. They don't have to have it because they're lying to you. Big time. There's absolutely no reason to use a gallon of water. And the same thing on the efficiency of the electricity. They're doing the cheapest way they can. All they want to do is get the gravy, and when it turns to, they're gone. What Google isn't telling you is they don't want to use the technology because it costs more. They're going to burn through the water, and when it's done, and they don't care.
Have you ever heard of the term day zero? Look it up on Google. Day zero is the moment the city's water supply gets so low that the taps are literally turned off. It means people can no longer get normal drinking water from anywhere. You have to get a very small, limited ration from emergency water centers that the government controls.
I saw that video off Barry Stepp's channel. The original creator is Ryder Lee, and it couldn't be any more evident they're not using this water to supply the data centers. More than likely what they're doing is taking this water and funneling it to whatever underground civilizations bunkers that they have. This last 10 minutes of clips was on my last video, but that video unfortunately had to be deleted, so I'm going to use these clips here.
Are the fallen angels, the United Nations, and the Tower of Babel all connected? Well, it's the number 33, and that's next on the trumpet. The UN logo is divided into 8 parts, and each one of those parts are divided into 4 sections. That makes 32 sections. The center section, the big circle in the middle, that's the 33rd section. On top of Mount Hermon, the UN has a military post on the 33rd degree. What's that place over there? That dude showing you the spot right where the fallen angels landed, on top of Mount Hermon. The Book of Enoch, the Watchers, Mount Hermon. These are the names of the angels that descended onto Mount Hermon, which is the mountain of curse. That's going to make that guy a POS. And these dudes work for the UN. That dude with the gun I showed you on top of Mount Hermon, he's right there by that tombstone. It's on the 33rd degree. And if you head due east, like all the bad guys did, then you'll end up on the 33rd degree, right by the Tower of Babel. The Masons built Jerusalem. King David is the one that commanded together the strangers and the masons to hew the stones to build the house of God. So the elders of Israel made a covenant with David right there, and then they anointed him king over Israel, and then he reigned over them 33 years. Seen that number enough today.
That video came from the Trumpet Ezekiel, and the number 33 goes deep and has a lot of connections that goes way back. It's not just a final and magic number that the Freemasons just picked out of thin air. It has a lot of history.
There's so many different symbolisms at the Hoover Dam in Nevada. This is the 16-point compass. It has written on it to the magnetic pole of the earth. It sits outside right next to these winged figures of the Republic that sit next to the wall that watch over everything. Now here's an Art Deco inside of the plant in front of the generators. It looks very similar to the same shape. Now outside on the handrail, look at that symbol, and it sits right outside of the golden elevator. This is an arch gravity dam with a curve, is what they say, holding back that water. Anything holding back water is power. Water is power. Creating the largest reservoir in the U.S., Lake Mead. The symbols are everywhere in Hoover Dam in Nevada.
That video came from Fishy Travels, and there's an interesting rabbit hole that the Hoover Dam itself is a Stargate. Matter of fact, a concept like this was featured on the TV series Stargate SG-1.
Y'all, whatever. I hope that thing didn't follow you home. So a woman and her 3 friends went on vacation to Mexico. So instead of using their phones for photos, they decided to bring disposable cameras for like the nostalgia and the aesthetic of it. The next two photos were taken in their hotel room. This first photo right here, and then the second photo right here. Now, when they got the photos developed, they realized that in this particular photo, there is an extra person in the room. And you can't really see it until you zoom in between the two girls with glasses behind the redheaded woman. There is a woman standing in the back of their hotel room. And when you look closer at this image, the creepier it gets, because this woman doesn't look right. One of her eyes are solid black, the other one is super high up on her head. She looks distorted, like something from the back rooms or something. It is creepy. And a lot of people in the post are saying that this is a bruja, a type of malevolent witch entity that is seen in Mexico. Now, if that is true, I really hope that you guys are okay and this thing didn't put a curse on you, or even worse, attach itself to you. Have you guys seen this photo before? What do you think?
That video came from Whoa That's Strange, and part of me wonders if this could be AI adding faces to these photos. For example, this face right here looks eerily similar to the face that AI generated images kept adding. Matter of fact, it even made it to the news, and they call this face, this woman, Loeb. And just because this might be AI doing this doesn't make it any less creepy.
Catacombs are an equally fascinating and terrifying place. People have been known to vanish here, with stories of these disappearances happening all the way back to its inception. But people also willingly venture into this tunnel system to party and attend full-blown raves. What always freaks me out the most about the catacombs, though, is just thinking about the sheer vastness of the place. Construction on it began in the 18th century, yet we still have no idea where all of the paths lead or how deep they go. They have an entire team dedicated to mapping the catacombs out, affectionately named cataphiles. And these people have uncovered some pretty horrific things along the way, like a video camera showing a man's final moments as he aimlessly wanders through the dark passageways lined with human bones. If you've never heard of that story or the many others that come from the catacombs, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to share in a future video. But to understand just how terrifying of a place the catacombs are, you have to first understand its history. Why was it built and how? You see, in the 18th century, the city of Paris had a problem. They had too many dead people. Their cemeteries were overcrowded and the bodies were essentially seeping fluids into the groundwater. Yeah. People were drinking them. It was, as you can imagine, a huge health hazard, but also sinkholes began opening up. And in one case, such a large sinkhole collapsed hundreds of rotten corpses into someone's basement. So as you can tell, they had a massive problem on their hands. But that's when they remembered that the city of Paris had a huge limestone quarry sitting directly underneath it that had since been abandoned. So for the next 3 years, starting in December of 1785, a wagon accompanied by a priest singing hymns and draped in a black veil would be loaded full of skeletal remains and carry them under the cover of darkness down into the tunnel system that we now call the catacombs. When we think of the catacombs, we might imagine the walls precisely lined with human skulls, but that's not what it started as. The skeletons were first dumped into these former extraction wells, resulting in tall heaps of bones at the bottom of these pits. It wasn't until 1809, when a new inspection general took over the architectural aspect of the catacombs, that they became the organized ossuary that we see today. A 5-story deep, 186-mile long, unmapped territory filled with the skeletons of those who came before us. It's no wonder people get lost down there.
That video was from Oddities on Elm Street, and if you want a good fictional, supposedly fictional anyway, because Hollywood always gives us the truth in plain sight, movie on the Paris catacombs, I highly suggest As Above, So Below. But it's just crazy to think that out of 200 miles of the Paris catacombs, legally what's available to the public and what has been explored is only about 1 mile of those 200 miles. Really makes you wonder what's down there, because it really seems like the entire place is one giant ritual.
There's a line across America where reality starts to break down. They call it the 37th parallel, and it might just be the strangest stretch of land in the U.S. Running from Santa Cruz, California, all the way to the Chesapeake Bay, this latitude, 37 degrees north, has been dubbed America's Paranormal Highway. Why? Well, it passes through various mysterious military bases, national parks, and clusters of high strangeness, almost like it's a roadmap for the unexplained. Going from east to west, this line runs right through Washington, D.C., and then on over to Appalachia, where we know there's a lot of weird stuff happening. It also cuts through the largest cave network in the world, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, which there's some weird stuff with caves and things like Missing 411. It also passes through Joplin, Missouri, home of the infamous Hornet Spooklight, and the Ozarks in general, a region haunted with cryptid sightings and bizarre encounters over the years, and it's also home to the New Madrid Fault Line. It also skirts the edge of the Dulce Basin, New Mexico, a super secretive installation that allegedly houses aliens and unspeakable experiments, as well as Taos, New Mexico, home of the Taos Hum. From there, it runs directly through Skinwalker territory in the Four Corners region and not far from Area 51 itself. Now, what's really interesting about this parallel is the number of major UFO cases and sightings that have happened through history along this line, like the 1941 Cape Girardeau UFO crash that happened in Missouri, or the Roswell crash in 1947, even the Mantell case in 1948, which prompted the launch of Project Blue Book after the captain of the squadron intercepting the UFO that was seen perished trying to pursue it. And even in the 1800s, people were reporting mystery airships well before the Wright brothers ever took flight. And there's also been reported occurrences of missing time, people driving on the highway, seeing strange lights, then snapping back to reality hours and miles from where they were without explanation. And then there's the livestock mutilations. Thousands of cases since the late 1800s, all with the same signature. Major organs, eyes, and other body parts with surgical-like precision. The bodies drained of blood and no tracks, like they were almost dropped from the sky. So what is the 37th parallel? Well, some people think that it could be a ley line or some kind of dimensional rift. Others think it could be a kind of cosmic highway for UFOs for some reason. Make sure to drop your theories in the comments and let me know what you want to hear about next.
That video was from Scientology, and there is a lot of eerie things on the 33rd parallel. Again, there's that number 33. But I do wonder how many of these data centers also connect or sit